You know what I've noticed is and here, I'll give you the straight answer right out of the gate. I'm going to explain exactly what a peptide is, how they work, why they work, what they do, all of it. I'm just going to give you a quick, 20, 30 minute, 45 maybe if you get me going. Sometimes I check out because I told you I nerd out on this stuff because I like it. It's fun and I know it really well. But by the time I'm done, you should understand everything about peptides. So you can look at all these bro science idiots who keep trying to sell you things and go, no, that doesn't make any sense. According to biology, you're a liar. According to physiology, that can't even work. So all of the ChatGPT experts out there that think they know what they're doing, you can tell. All you have to do is look at their post and it's got flame emojis and crap in it trying to explain. Let me tell you all about how SLU works, like whatever the nonsense is. It bugs me because they just want to jump on the train because they see other people successful with it, but they're not telling people the right information. They just want the money. I come out here and I just give you the information. You can decide to give me money or not. That's on you. But I just want you to be able to make a good decision. So, sorry, I have some hard-boiled eggs stuck in a tooth somewhere, like my Bedros Keuilian coffee mug. Man, this thing's seen a lot of years. I've gotten use out of this thing. Good dude, Bedros. Good dude, man. That guy he's legit. So listen, man, I could run probably an entire year class on this. It's so awesome. But just be honest. Most people, including people that are self-proclaimed experts, living under this pharmaceutical dictatorship your entire life. Look at your life. Just look around. Look at what is the recommendation for every single thing, every malady, every issue, every ache, scratch, fever, anything. Hair. Finasteride? Come on, man. That's post-finasteride syndrome. There is a problem that stays with you forever where I'll help you. You can't get wood again in your life, no matter how many Cialis you take. So you guys need to pay attention to what I'm about to tell you so you understand how to take care of this machine you keep driving around, right? Like there's a pill for cholesterol, for anxiety, for sleep, for side effects of all the other pills that they give you. And then because we're just such geniuses as a society, we celebrate healthcare when your 10 prescriptions no longer 15 prescriptions. I mean, they offered me 12 when I came out of the hospital missing this lung. They were, here's 12 different drugs. You're going to need them all to survive. But we celebrate that because the prescriptions will no longer actively kill you. Are you out of your mind? Listen, sorry, my mustache is itchy as hell right now. The real operating system of the human body, you guys are going to be experts by the time I'm done talking. The signals that it's been using for thousands and thousands and thousands of years to grow and heal and create and regenerate and divide, they're all right in front of you. They're peptides. That's how this works. I got to say this because otherwise somebody's going to have a freaking aneurysm. This isn't meant to treat, diagnose, triage, prescribe, advise, cure, and it is only for entertainment and education, and it is purely hypothetical. How about that? We ready? Can we go now? I got to scratch my nose. You know, you turn 52, you don't even care. You'll pick your nose wherever it is. Doesn't matter. It's just how this works. I just don't care. I'm going to tell you it. I'll spit it out. You know what? If my junk is in the wrong position, I'm just going to move it. I don't care where I'm standing. Like it's not impolite or rude. I'm just being a human freaking being. But listen, I promise by the end of this little rant / educational podcast, you're going to understand. Well, that's so itchy. It's driving me nuts. You're going to understand peptides well enough. This is my goal, that you understand peptides well enough that you can just destroy any Insta expert, IFBB pro, I have a doctorate degree, PhD wannabe, I take selfies of myself, like with my model pose using chat to answer everything as if I actually understand what the fuck I'm talking about, expert in a single sentence. How about that? You can school your doctor, your medical doctor, which I'm a doc, but I actually come out here because I give a crap. But you can school them without even breaking a sweat because most of them are full of shit. And you can walk away understanding why these things honestly represent the biggest medical revolution, I think, in human history. This is the future. I mean, what frustrates me is it just gets written off as hype and, whoa, what if it causes cancer? And what about may cause death? Those are the 3 words that are in every single package insert in every pharmaceutical out there. And you have been so conditioned to go, well, they have to say that, bro. First of all, ain't your bro. Second of all, they say it because it fucking happens. You know what doesn't say that? Peptides. You're welcome. Listen, okay, so what are peptides? Because I get this question a lot. So we'll just start right at ground zero and go from A to Z. Because if I just start throwing around and everybody. It's just the word peptide, half the place half the people, it doesn't matter whatever room I'm in. Anyone I'm talking to, they think it's a supplement that you can buy at GNC. And the other half, you guys online, you're like, well, it's a steroid though. You can't take that. That's cheating. Both of you idiots are wrong. No, I'm not going to be nice because I'm tired of the arguments I see in my comment section or the messages or the education you try and give me when I have forgotten more than you will ever learn. It irritates me. A peptide in its simplest rudimentary explanation is a chain of amino acids. There you go. That's it. Start there. Write that down. The amino acids are the building block of life, not big, long, like protein, which can be thousands, honestly, of amino acids fold into all these complicated origami shapes. Peptides are short and surgical and extremely detailed, 2 to 50 amino acids long, almost all the time. No, somebody don't quote me on that. Well, what about this one? And bioregulators are the 2 to 4, and they are supposed to work on the genetic. They don't work. I'm just going to tell you that right now, despite all the Russian studies. I said it the other day. So go ahead, freak out, get in my comments and say I have all this proof. No, you don't. No, you don't. Think of it like this. A protein is like a full novel, 1,000 pages, and a peptide is a short little text with character limits. You can only throw out 180, right? Like just a tiny little text message. They're both written with the same language, same alphabet, same like communication style, same syntax even, but one is sprawling and detailed and incredibly complicated, and the other one is just razor sharp and right to the point. And in biology, human biology, at least all biology, the point is the purpose. That's everything, right? Because that's what it's trying to tell you to do. It's the signal. That's what's the communication, right? Your body is this giant, I'm going to nerd out so hard on this because it's so fun. Your body is this giant communication network. So cells are always talking to each other constantly, from your forehead to your toes, nose to fingertips, whatever. And the language they use is peptides. That's it. Nothing else. You can sit there and argue about, electrical conduction and synaptic workings and all that stuff. It's still all predicated on a peptide. So when one cell wants another cell, this cell wants this cell to take an action, whether it's divide or repair, or release hormones, or even change its metabolism. It doesn't matter. It doesn't send this long thesis. It sends a tiny little short coded message, peptide. There you go. That's it. Peptides interact with a receptor. They're protein structures that sit on the outside of a cell. So you have your cell, and then there's this little structure that sits on the outside. That's the receptor. And each receptor is like a lock, and each peptide is like a key. So you have this receptor, and the peptide comes along and fits perfectly when it's the right peptide. And it doesn't just open the lock. Flicks on the switch inside the cell, so it does all kinds of stuff, whatever the signal is telling it to do. The signal can trigger all kinds of cascades and cascades of events. That's why half-life in peptides doesn't matter, because the cascade following it could go on for hours. Enzymes turning on, gene expression, proteins being made. And these cascades aren't small. Like, they are amplified at ridiculous capacity. One peptide binding can ripple into thousands and thousands of downstream effects. That's why they're so powerful, despite being so small. And I'm not losing anybody. Believe me, I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible without going just full science. But most people don't realize this, but the molecules that run your entire life right now, even listening to this, are peptides. Insulin is a peptide. Glucagon is a peptide. Growth hormone releasing hormone, peptide. Even oxytocin, right? The little huggy bonding hormone, is also a peptide. Your mood, so follow me, your mood, like your attitude, your whatever, however you feel right now, your blood sugar, all your repair signals, your growth, they're all riding on the backs of these tiny little chains. This is now, you see why these are so badass? So when you talk about using peptides therapeutically, I'm not talking about adding something foreign to your system. We're talking about borrowing your body's own language and articulating this communication much more. You're speaking it more clearly, right? I hope that makes sense. Here's where physiology really matters, and these Insta bros just piss me off because they're so fucking stupid. They come out and they just think God, I don't care if you have a pro card or you used to be a DC or you have some PhD in something or you're an MD. I don't care. If you don't understand basic human biology and neurology and endocrine, all the things, you have no business opening your pie hole and giving somebody advice. So I just, like, if that's you and you're doing it, take your hand, ball it up, punch yourself right in the face and shut up until you learn, because you're going to end up causing people to do things because they believe in you, and it's not going to give them the right cascade of events. Even though you're like, yes, it is. And you'll argue because your ego is so fucking fragile, instead of going, wow, maybe I really don't know. Maybe I should just learn. You realize I've spent 30 plus years learning all this stuff, and I learn every day. The amount of information that I consume on a daily basis, it's like I'm voracious. I read and consume and absorb all the time as much information as I possibly can, so I can give it to you in a way that actually is understandable versus going, here's a giant textbook, figure it out, man. No way. This is where physiology really matters. Proteins are very, very big. And when they fold wrong, the origami gets all screwed up. You get just this chaotic, nasty mess, right? You get clumps and misfolds, and all those result in things like disease, usually. Alzheimer's is a great example. Peptides avoid this entire mess by staying small. They don't work, right? Because it's not a protein. It is a peptide amino acid chain, not the same. So their short length means that they don't fold into these weird, unstable structures because they really can't. They're very direct and incredibly stable, which is why the body uses those as signal molecules instead of giant proteins, aside from the fact that they're much more efficient. Peptides are, just take the 1,000-foot view. They're the operating system that commands biology, all of your biology, everything in your system. They're not the whole program, they're definitely not the hardware, right? This is all the actual mechanical portion of the machine. They're just the code, these little snippets that tell the system exactly what to do, when to do it, and how much to turn the dial, right? Do we do a little bit? Do we do a lot? And before you start asking me what peptides do what, this thing would be a full year of conversation if I started getting into all that level of detail. So I'm just going to keep this as simple as possible. But this is what makes them so incredibly elegant. And honestly, why they're exploding in healthcare and performance disease mitigation. They reverse so many things because they tell your body to do the right thing. And I hope the pharmaceutical industry burns to the fucking ground. I'm going to disrupt the whole thing. And by the way, I have to say this, I'm of sound mind and I don't plan on unaliving myself at any point. So I feel very good about my life. So nobody can be like, I don't know, it was just weird. He just snapped. And no, I didn't. No. So just telling you right now. So think of this, when you can copy the language that I have to say that because it's a weird world we live in right now. When you can copy the language that your body already speaks, you can do just about anything. I mean, that's how unlimited you are. There's no capacity, none. When you find the right signal, you tell your body to do it. If you go, well, yeah, but you can override and over-rev the engine, get off my podcast. I just want to smack you in the mouth. Your body will not do something it can't do based on a peptide, and it won't go past its own capacity based on a peptide. Drugs are what do that. They go, we don't care about the safeties in place. I'm going to force you to do it regardless of any consequences. That's the problem with pharmaceuticals is they demand action, even if it's not the right one, right? So, I mean, you can heal and grow and burn fat and build muscle and fix your cognition, extend life. This is stuff that I think most of you guys, I think everybody should know this. Same reason why most people should know, everybody that has a driver's license, you should know all about your car. Not just how to put the key in the ignition or push the button or whatever it is. But here's where a lot of people get lost. They think peptides are some little hush-hush exotic biohack. And you know how I feel about that word biohack. That's a dodgeball into the face waiting to happen. It's not a biohacking supplement, you guys. It's just the native language of your own biology. And to understand how they work, you've got to follow the chain of events from the second that you inject one all the way to the effect that it causes and then what that effect is, right? It's decided I wanted to hold my coffee and put it down apparently, because once you get me started, watch out. So let's go from A to Z so you understand how a peptide actually works. And by the way, inject only. I don't care. Come at me, bro. You'll be wrong. Biology's on my side. So you inject a peptide subcutaneously into the fat, under the skin, into the thin layer of fat. And people go, well, why can't I do IM? No, you can't. Intramuscular? No, you can. It's just a waste and you're stupid and you're not listening. You want to be different? Knock yourself out. Your results are going to be worthless. So you go there because it allows the peptide to slip into the circulation gradually. And then the fact that it actually bypasses the entire digestive system, which would break it down into a bunch of useless chum fragments that your body is designed. Listen, your gut's doing what it's designed to do. So when you tell your gut to do something different, or you go to war against what your gut is designed to do, you're actually causing harm to your body. You understand that, right? Which is why when people go, I take an oral peptide, but it was treated, so it's pegylated is a big one, right? And it causes the molecule to be insanely toxic. It's not helping you, man. It's actually causing more problems, but it gives them a way to go, well, but it bypasses the gut wall and all the enzymatic activity that's going to break down a peptide. So it's really good for you. Yeah, but it screws you up 100 times worse. Hard pass. So once the peptide gets in the blood, it's carried to the body like this little UPS courier, like just everywhere. Except unlike a drug, which they're kind of indiscriminate, right? The way they spread, they go everywhere. Peptides go everywhere, but they're only targeting one specific messenger. That's a really important distinction, because if you look at a peptide or you look at a drug, it's going to have all kinds of ancillary effects. Just take a basic drug like an NSAID, right? You take an NSAID, okay, so it's designed to mitigate pain and inflammation and reduce any kind of febrile activity, any kind of fever, but it also causes renal toxicity and forces the liver to work incredibly hard because it's trying to attack that compound and it's designed to resist that compound. So you make it work harder. Enzymatic activity in the liver goes through the roof, and never mind destroying the gut wall. And I could get into the physiology about this, but then we're going to really be here a long time. So it doesn't have there's no specificity. And think about that when you guys keep taking your tiny little baby aspirins because some idiot doctor told you that it's healthy. Feel free to punch him in the face. I would. The peptides do something called docking, and they're all very specifically shaped, right? They're designed in a very specific way, and that shape is everything. Remember when you were a kid, shapes matter? You had that big ball, it was blue and red, I think, and it had different shapes that all through, right? The little yellow star and circle and all that stuff. It's literally the easiest example. I should have brought one. It would have been more effective, except my kids are 16 and 18, although sometimes they act like they're 2. All you parents understand exactly what I just said. So the shape is everything, right? The shape matters because if there's no shape, it can't dock. The body is covered in receptors. These are, remember I said they're proteins on the surface that act like a lock. Each receptor only responds to a matching key. Wrong key, it doesn't even know it exists. But when the right key, the right peptide finds the right receptor, which it does floating around the bloodstream, it just clicks into place. That's that lock and key mechanism, and it's not brute force at all. It's smooth. It just right in surgically, like a laser precise, just gets in and turns something on. The next step is signal transduction that's what it's called actually, but it's what happens once it docks. This is where it gets fun, man, because once a peptide binds to a receptor, the receptor itself changes shape. That conformational change acts like flipping on a switch, and suddenly the inside of the entire cell just lights up with activity. It does all kinds of whatever it's just been told to do, but it goes full throttle. There's no partial. There's no, I could do a little more. 100%. This is called signal transduction. It's an external signal, the peptide, right, being converted into internal cellular action. It comes in, this is the inside of the cell right here. Peptide comes along, hits that lock. It's the perfect key, turns on the inside, turns on everything it's designed to do, and nothing else, nothing more, nothing less, only that. That's what's wicked. Because here's where peptides are going to flex massively on pharmaceuticals. They amplify. Pharmaceuticals don't do that. They can't, because they don't work with the body. They just tell the body to do something. And even then, it's almost never the right thing. One peptide binding to one receptor doesn't just create one effect. It sets off this entire ripple, this entire cascade inside the cell. Secondary messengers explode in action. Enzymes turn on. Gene expression ramps up. Proteins get built. Whole metabolic pathways just start shifting. Like, that's how wild this stuff is. It's like going to Dodger Stadium, flicking one switch outside, and the entire place turns on. All the lights, all the machines, everything, the fans, all the stuff goes, and it's filled with fans and the team. The second and it was just a ghost town before you walked in. That's how badass this is. Yes, you can tell I love this stuff. And then here's what's even cooler is the duration, like, because people obsess, I get these messages, they obsess over half-life. I feel like I have a nervous tick, right? I'm scratching itches all over the place. Now I'm just dry and itchy. But people obsess over half-life. You know why I said that? Because I remember watching this video, totally tangent, right? Like you'd be like, oh, this guy's all over the place. But I saw Gary Vaynerchuk. I like Gary V, man. Like, I dig Gary, man. I just like what he has to say, and I like his mindset, and I like what he does. I don't care. Keep your opinion to yourself. If you're about to go, oh, well, what about, shut up. I'm just telling, this is my show, man. Don't have to listen to you, but you don't have to listen to me either. So if you don't like it, pound sand. But I remember one time he's animated, right? He's very animated, and he kept like rubbing his nose. Oh, you're a liar, right? You're rubbing your nose and scratching your head, and rubbing your, whatever it is. And they're like, oh, definitely, he's on tons of Adderall, man. You could tell he's definitely on Adderall, probably Coke. That's the only way he can be so high energy like that. No, he's just like that. And anyone that knows me, I've been this way since as long as I can remember, to be honest. I've always been this lit. I had some guy say to me in my messages yesterday, I love this rant, man, but for fuck's sakes, take a breath and relax. I'm out of breath just watching you. I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, maybe you should get in shape, you fat bastard, because the problem ain't with me. You just can't keep up. But ask anybody that knows me. My mom will tell you, this guy's been like this forever. I told you, 4 or 5 hours a night sleep, and if I have a mustache hair like this one right here, if sometimes they curl up and they poke you in the nose and you think you get it, until you pull a mirror up to your face and then you see this tiny little hair and all it does is flick the inside of your nose nonstop. It makes you want to punch somebody because it's all you can think about. If you know, you know. No, if you're a woman, you don't know. And for the love of God, I hope you don't know. So anyway, back to our regularly scheduled show, right? Obsessing over half-life with a peptide doesn't make sense like that. So a half-life is how many minutes or hours or days or whatever. It's measured in usually minutes or hours or seconds even. It floats around before breaking down to half, right? But here's what these guys miss that don't understand biology or even basic biochemistry. The signal's fast, lightning quick, but the cascade is insanely long. Think about it. Insulin is a peptide, right? I said at the beginning. Its half-life is measured in minutes, but the effects on glucose metabolism lasts hours, because once you start the process, it becomes an engine and the body just carries it forward, right? There's that mustache hair again. So when you inject, that's all you guys are going to obsess on, right? Watching this, going, let's see if he touches his nose again. So when you inject a peptide, you're not trying to keep this molecule around forever. The molecule isn't the thing, right? You get that out of your head. Peptide isn't the thing. What it does is the thing. So you don't want to keep it around forever. It doesn't matter. You're just trying to deliver the signal, right? Send a message to Garcia if you know the story. Once the cascade begins, now biology kicks in and it takes off without it. It just runs with it. Because now it started. You lit the fuse, let it go. Now, here's what happens. The signal is either going to fade as the peptide is broken down into its little amino acids, harmless. It's like digesting a protein pretty much. It doesn't have any weird effect on your body, or it's just stopped by some kind of internal feedback loop. And which is another key difference from drugs. Your body it's what I said, your body has these built-in brakes for peptides. With most pharmaceuticals, there are no brakes. It is all gas, no brakes, and a lot of bad things. They just keep hammering that pathway until side effects, which don't really exist, there are only effects. A side effect is a fancy little word given by executives in a boardroom to go, if we change the name, maybe people will accept it, but there are only effects. You just don't like some of them. But that's what happens is they keep hammering the gas until those side effects just pile up. And with peptides, the body knows when to shut this down because it's already a communication system that your body has, because it's the same damn thing you're using already. You see how this stitches together? So listen, at the core of it, this peptides work not because they hijack your biology, but because they are your biology. They're the short-lived, tiny little messengers that deliver very precise instructions and trigger massive cascades of events, of physiological events, and then just gracefully walk off the stage without any collateral damage. Sign me up. But I mean, you guys are probably asking the obvious question. I would. I'm even asking it in my head. Why do they work so friggin' they work better than anything else on the planet, period. And I mean, they're the ultimate tool for human performance in all areas. I'm talking healing, growth, weight loss, weight gain, muscle, pituitary, like sleep, wake, you name it. Anything your body does, peptides. It comes down to the alignment with your own biology. Drugs are exogenous. They're outsiders. They're these foreign molecules that are just designed to, in a lab somewhere by a bunch of usually very angry people who have no desire to help you, just to make a lot of profit. They're to brute force a pathway that your body's already running, which is why drugs always come with problems, side effects. They weren't written into the original code. They just come in and kick the door open. And peptides, they're native software. That's what it is. That's the native software that commands the body. I said it before. That's just all it does. Peptide, receptor, key, lock, cascade, right? Transduction, and away we go. They're already part of the operating system. So you're not hijacking any biology. You're just updating it with a better, either more clear signal or just a better function. It's just a software upgrade. That's why the body responds so cleanly without any strange confusion. You can't here's the best part. When people go, I took this, it didn't do that for me. Well, then it was bunk. No, it wasn't. Well, it has to be, because biology is on my side. So if you take a peptide, it doesn't work, then it wasn't the peptide. There's no other way around it. Just so you know, before you guys just pepper my messages with, well, yeah, but I took this one thing and And my mom is like that. Is one idiot that keeps sending me messages, this woman, she's like, oh, really? So you know me so well? You know that that's not how it is? I'm like, no, I just know that biology is biology. Human physiology doesn't change just because you wish it were and your feelings are hurt. And you tell me your mom is like that too. It doesn't matter. Physiology does not lie. And here's the best part. Peptides aren't even one-dimensional. These are multi-contextual, which means the same peptide can play a ton of different roles depending on the tissue. Never mind just the tissue, the receptor density or the state of the body. I'll give you an example. You look at a repair peptide, like BPC, for example. It upregulate blood flow in an injured muscle, but at the same time, it's going to calm inflammatory processes in the gut. One signal, multiple coordinated responses. Drugs don't do that. Go ahead. Come on, argue in my comments because it's what you like to do. This is why peptides scale so efficiently, just so you know. They don't just solve a problem in one corner. They ripple through the entire system, the entire machine you're piloting. So instead of a single hammer looking for a single nail, peptides are like the entire toolkit that adapts itself to whatever repair is needed in the system at the time, because that's what the receptors are designed for. The key is just looking for the receptor. That's all it is. This is also why they stack really powerfully with all kinds of other interventions, to be honest, like TRT, and peptides make testosterone work harder. It adds stem cells, and peptides are going to create the environment, the soil, where those cells can actually thrive, which is, and I mean, even then, stem cells, as great as they are, peptides 80-90% of the time are better. And here's why. Because stem cells, once they're injected, you lose all control. They go wherever they go. Even if you go, I shot them into my shoulder, into my knee, into my thumb. Did they stay there? No, they didn't. They went everywhere. And they don't have a lock and a key. Stem cells become whatever is required in the moment. They're good for last final stage injuries, like the cartilage is gone. You have to, it's a mechanical thing. You have to build more cartilage, stem cells all the way. But then you want to pair that with some kind of a peptide, right? You see how this works? Make it better. Peptides you have control all the time because that's what the peptide does. It is designed for one specific thing. Stem cells morph into whatever's convenient at the time to keep it simple, right? You add SARMs and peptides protect the connective tissue so the muscle gains aren't sabotaged by the tendons that didn't get the memo to stay strong or to build themselves as well, right? Because if you look at TRT and SARMs, they work very well on muscle tissue and not the greatest on connective tissue, but peptides do. That's the secret. They multiply the ROI. So you don't just get a little bit better, you guys. You get these compounding returns because peptides reinforce everything else that you're doing. Cognition, like you can get smarter. I talked about it the other day. Adrafinil. It's like the precursor to modafinil. It gets converted in the liver. Yes, I always tell people don't take it all the time because give your liver a break. Modafinil doesn't need the conversion, so it works a little better. So the reason peptides are so effective is because they're not a patch or a crutch or something you can lean on temporarily, and they're not a gimmick at all, and they're not cancer causing ever. Throw all the research you want at me. I will pick it apart and show you that you're wrong in your own research. Peptides are the cleanest, most perfectly designed, most linear and precise way to tell your body, hey man, do what you were designed to do, but better. Do it better and do it stronger and do it longer. And by the way, do it faster too. That's why they're so effective. Listen, here's why they get stupid powerful. Peptides are modular, right? They don't compete. They complement. Let me explain. This is why I was talking about it just now. That's why I think, because otherwise you guys are going to ask me all these questions. That's why stacking them with things like TRT and SARMs and SERMs and stem cells and secretagogues, et cetera, it creates effects that feel honestly damn near unfair because they're so effective. Look at TRT, right? TRT gives you the gasoline. Peptides like CJC 1295 and ipamorelin married together. And if you go with DAC or without, how many days you want to pin? If you want to with, then it's less. But that they light the growth hormone on fire. They increase the pulse and time it right. When you time it right, and together you're this metabolic blowtorch. You burn off fat, you build muscle, you recover faster with a libido that's like when you were 17 years old and all it kept doing was standing up going, hey man, what's going on out there? I want to see. Like that's how your system works. It's designed to work that way. You look at SARMs, so androgens drive hypertrophy, right? Growth, but they don't repair joints or connective tissue, which is why I was saying you have to stack them with a peptide. Stack SARMs with BPC 157 or TB 500, even better. Because now you're going to work on the cardiovascular system, primarily the heart, right? Now you're not just adding horsepower, you guys. You're bulletproofing the entire chassis. So the system gets better, not a portion of the system, right? Because your system is only as strong as the weakest link. It's like I take my car, any car. I take my truck, for example. I built that diesel into this psycho torque monster. But if if that Allison transmission wasn't built and I didn't put it together the right way to withstand all that and then do the billet input and output and the torque converter was right, all that stuff, then the transmission's the weak link. But then I go down the other all the way to the end, and then if the rear end isn't done right, so you see what I mean? It's gonna take the horsepower all the way until it gets to that weak link, and wherever that weak link is, it's just gonna explode. This is how you offset all of that, right? That's why stem cells, I said they're great, but they're better if you stack them with a peptide, because I use the soil example because it's the easiest, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'm not explaining it again. But without an environment that has the fertilizer in it, they don't thrive. They can't. So peptides like thymosin beta 4, GHKC, copper, right? TB500 as well. Thymosin beta 4 is just native and very, very short half-life. TB500 fragment, the synthetic fragment, works the same. They create that environment where the stem cells can thrive, right? Blood supply, cellular repair, anti-inflammatory properties, lots of stuff. I could just do this all day. Your stem cell therapy ROI just 5x. And this is just touching the surface of how these things work. Look at secretagogues. So MK677, right? Pushes growth hormone higher over time. It builds, it's compounding over time. You pair it with some short-acting peptide like ipamorelin, works really well, and you get both these pulsatile spikes and long-term baseline elevation without frying all the receptors. That's why this stuff works so well, because it makes your body work with itself instead of forcing it to do what it's trying. Actually, you're fighting your own biology, and you're weaponizing yourself against yourself if you don't do that. And the ROI isn't X, you guys. It's 20, 30, 50X, because peptides, they amplify and they stack it's like a cheat code for human biology. And that's where people go, oh, so it's not authentic. F off. I'm not for you. And the best is, and I got to address it because otherwise people are going to lose their mind. The bro science keyboard warriors that are about to cry, well, what about the side effects, bro? I already told you what the word side effects are. The words mean nothing. It's just a cute little phrase made by people in a boardroom. But yes, there are potential issues, but they're laughable compared to pharmaceuticals. Injection site irritation, itches for 5-10 minutes. Oh my God, are you going to survive? Maybe a little water retention if you hammer growth hormone secretagogues too hard. Just dial it back until it disappears. None of this is complicated. Receptor desensitization with some peptides. If you run them nonstop for a year, easy. Cycle intelligently. This is where common sense just comes into play. That's it. Compare it to something like an SSRI that just demolishes your libido, right? NSAIDs that eat your gut lining, and statins that they turn your liver into giant dysfunction. Peptides don't even play in the same game of damage. They just don't do it. It doesn't work. No, they don't cause cancer. I'm tired of that question. Believe me, don't believe me, look it up, don't look it up. I don't care. But you know what? Of all the knowledge that I give you, why the fuck would I start steering you astray now? I'm not. You guys just look for excuses so you don't have to do it, because that way you can stay stuck in your own little world of being fat and weak and moody and a problem to your parents, because at 45, you still won't leave their damn basement. Like if you line up pharmaceuticals versus peptides side by side, here, this is what it looks like. Pharmaceuticals, 4-molecule, hijacks pathways, side effects like a nuclear bomb. They're everywhere. Peptides, native molecule, restores pathways, negligible downsides, if any, and almost gone instantly. And I said at the beginning, I probably should talk about this because somebody's going to ask anyway. Orals don't work ever. I'll say it again for the people that are really hard of hearing and failing to comprehend why I'm saying this, ever. Because here's why. I need to kill this, because supplement companies have made billions on selling you this powder in a gelatin capsule. They don't work orally. And the reason has nothing to do with the marketing or the person talking about it or your fragile little ego, because you can't take the fact that you're wrong if you've been selling and talking about oral peptides. Ever. Double rainbows to you. It is straight physiology, and it is on my side because God built you this way. Like stomach acid. That's the kill shot right there. You don't even have to go any further because it won't make it past that. I don't care what it is. The second a peptide hits your stomach, it is dumped into hydrochloric acid that is so strong, denatures proteins. If you understand the chemistry behind that acid doesn't give a crap if the capsule costs you $200, $300, $400, $500 from some fancy supplement guru, or they have their own little supplement brand in their naturopath clinic. Its only job is to unravel amino acid chains into scraps. That's its career. Gets born. That's all it's designed to do. The HCl. That's it. And peptides, by definition, if you remember at the beginning, short chain amino acids. instantly shredded like this. Never mind the enzymatic breakdown that shows up just down the line. Because even if some of these fragments have got some weird suit of armor that just doesn't work and they slip past the stomach acid, they face this litany of digestive enzymes, pepsin in the stomach, then trypsin and chymotrypsin in the intestines. These enzymes are like professional bond destruction assassins. That's all they do. They chop everything into dipeptides and tripeptides and finally just a tiny little single individual amino acids. So by the time your gut wall sees a damn thing, that peptide that you swallowed, remember, it needs to be lock key. That key, it's gone. You're going to put it back together inside your bloodstream. They magically coalesce into the key again. It's nothing more than raw protein fragments. They're indistinguishable from the last chicken breast or piece of beef you just ate. That's the issue. And yet people will argue. You'll get my comments and argue, I tried oral. They worked for me, bro. No, you're just fucking stupid. And you're living in a placebo world. Sorry, I hate to break it to you, but maybe you just actually pay attention to the science behind it and not the trust me, bro science or your fragile little baby boy ego. Now, could those fragments slip through the gut wall before somebody wants to argue that? Sure. But your intestinal transporters are built to absorb single amino acids and very short fragments, not intact therapeutic, like 43 aminos long therapeutic peptides. They can't get through. The few fragments that cross, they're not going to match any receptor ever. I use this example all the time. It's like throwing a bunch of beef into a wood chipper and expecting the cow to come out the other side. Useless. Yes, it gets me irritated because I see this all the time. And some idiot who keeps taking selfies keeps telling you all about how they work. And I get you guys in the comments. Well, they worked for me, bro. My friends, brothers, sisters, uncles, dogs, friends, boss did it. And they turned into whatever, Captain freaking America. No, they didn't. Then they're lying about what they took, or they're just ignorant. And supplement companies know this, by the way. So they play Frankenstein. They slap polyethylene glycol. That's pegylation, right? Polyethylene glycol or some other kind of modifications onto a peptide to protect them through digestion. Just so you know, let me explain what PEG is, the polyethylene glycol, because it's nasty. It is a petroleum-based polymer, which means here, you're swallowing plastic. I could probably stop there, huh? It doesn't just distort the peptide's shape and reduce receptor binding. It's inflammatory. Remember, you distort the shape, it doesn't fit. Well, now it can't bind to the receptor at all, but you're getting it into the bloodstream. So blood work says what? It's there? Not really. That's how little it is. It's negligible what makes it into the blood. But now the compound is now bad for you, not good for you anymore. Inflammatory, toxic, and in a ton of studies, carcinogenic, causes cancer. There's your cancer. You wanted the answer. There you go. That's what it is. By fucking with it and making the signal not do its job just so it can get into your bloodstream to say, look at our studies. That's why I said, read your research carefully. Don't just take it because somebody handed you a white sheet. Goes with me too. Read it and understand it, which is why I'm telling you this stuff. God, I'm like 45 minutes in. This is like an entire class. Welcome, class. Today I'll be teaching you an entire physiology and biochemistry class and all about peptides and proteins, and you're welcome. Most of you guys won't stay till the end, so it doesn't really matter. I'll have like 7 of you guys make it to the end, and the rest will be like, oh, this guy just talks so much. Maybe you just suck at listening. You have any idea how much information is stored up in explaining the human body that you guys want in 180 characters? It's not a Twitter post. Even some of the other things I'm thinking, lipidation, right? Or adding all these, that they do that to these molecules. They add these unnatural, screwed up chemical groups. They don't solve the problem. They sneak this distorted version of the peptide into circulation. And it's one that your receptors don't even recognize. Bent key, wrong lock. You doubt me? Go ahead. Put your key through a grinder and bend it, twist it, and then go try and get in your house. Not going to happen. And again, there's going to be an idiot that argues, well, what if you do this though? Shut. And then I had some guy tell me this. Well, that's why we compensate by increasing the dosage. How do you say you don't understand biochemistry and physiology without saying it with that statement? Taking 10 times the dose won't fix it. It's not possible. You can't brute force biology. 10 times 0, if you understand math, still 0. If you could take 1,000 milligrams of something or 100 milligrams of something, if it hits the stomach acid and the stomach acid is designed to turn it into fragments, it doesn't matter how much you take. Were you going to bypass the stomach acid with some magic like hyperdosing? It can't work. That's why. This is why injections are the only way to go. Contrast that with just a simple subcutaneous, just go full contrast, oral, subcu, right? Subcu injection. You bypass the acid, you bypass the enzymes, you bypass the gut wall, like the enterocytes, all that. You bypass all of that. The peptide hits the bloodstream intact, docks with the receptor, launches that cascade exactly as nature designed you. which is why every legitimate study and clinical protocol and all the things out there, the real results that people are getting and that you've seen 100% of the time use injections, and all the bro science idiots tell you that oral works. And then go, by the way, here's my affiliate code. It's the only way they work. Injectable. Argue all you want. I'm still right. If you're buying, it pisses me off, because if you're buying oral peptides, yeah, I'm going to drill down on this a little more because it aggravates me so bad. If you're buying oral peptides, you're not biohacking. You're buying expensive piss. Yours. You just take $100 bills and put them in the toilet, just piss all over them and flush them down. That's what you're doing. Your stomach acid doesn't give a damn about your advanced delivery system, your proprietary blend, or your hyperdosing. It has been perfected over thousands of years by our creator to do one thing: dismantle proteins. That capsule, gone in minutes. And all the companies, if you're one of these companies, dude, I'm coming for you, man. They're selling this garbage. They're going to sprinkle a bunch of pseudoscience on the label. Pegylated, lipid protected, nano absorbed. I love that. We wrapped plastic around more plastic and called it innovation. That's what they're saying. It's not advanced science, man. That is a bunch of lies and fraud and bullshit in a vial or a bottle, sold to you for a very large amount of money over time. The loudest defenders, by the way, just so we're clear, the Instabros who couldn't explain what a peptide is, if you spotted them the first half of the fucking answer, these are the same idiots who forget their own home address but want to lecture you about molecular signaling because they read it on ChatGPT. Dude, come at me all day. Go live with me. Like right now. I will bury you because you don't know. That's what I see these dudes. Let me tell you, well, merely by saying, shut up, man. You don't understand even how to spell your own name. And your first name is Jason. It's a made up name, by the way, before you guys look, let's see who Jason was. I don't know. I know a ton of Jasons. And here's the reality. You want a peptide to work? Inject them. Sub-Q, 29, 30 gauge, tiny little insulin needle, 30 seconds, done. Quit being such a sissy. There's no wishful thinking or fairy tales. There's little dust or dance you have to do or special music, just biology. That's it. Just biology. Oral peptides are never going to work. That's it. So I was going to, you guys want me to keep going? Maybe I will. How about this? So peptides, because you're going to ask me these questions. I'm trying to preemptively strike all the questions that you're about to ask me, but the peptides, they're not all the same. Some are safe that you can run daily just as a baseline, which I've gone over mine. And others, I think very importantly, should be cycled so you don't run into that desensitization problem, or you don't cause like hyperacceleration of one area and diminish like diminutive problems on the other side of that equation, right? So daily things would be, hypothetically, before somebody has an aneurysm, BPC 157, TB 500, GHKCU. I'm not going to explain what they do, but those could be daily. So the cycles would be things that are more growth hormone oriented. So CJC 1295, Apamorelin, thymosin alpha 1, immune reset, good for infections. Don't take that stuff forever. Epidolon, anti-aging, 20 days, wait 4 months and do it again. It's like training blocks, right? Some lifts are staple and required, and others are periodized for all the effects that you guys want. Same principle here, right? And no, I'm not a personal trainer, an expert in it whatsoever. I know how to lift heavy things and put them. That's about it. And I think I need to touch on this because somebody brought up stem cells and says they're way better. Well, that's why I touched on them at the beginning, but they also cost more than most people's cars, and they don't always work the way you hope, because you lose control the second you inject them. They need an environment. So if you drop them into a hostile, inflamed, pissed off body or metabolically dysfunctional body, they fail 100% of the time. And they're not going to explain that to you because they went, here, give me $6,000. Peptides are the environment. That's why they work synergistically with stem cells. They increase the blood flow and the repair tissue and reduce the inflammatory problems. They create that environment, right? That fertile soil where stem cells can actually do their job. So hypothetically, I would use both. Right? So, and before somebody says, so are you saying stem cells are useless? No, not at all. They're designed more for extreme trauma and degenerative disease processes, like I said originally, where the cartilage is going. They're powerful, like they're next level. And I've seen people get incredible results. Marry them with a peptide and the results 50x faster. But for daily health or repair, recovery, or any anti-aging or performance and stuff like that, it's a waste. Peptides beat stem cells hands down all day long. Stem cells, think of it this way. They're like a seed. And peptides are the soil that the seed grows in, right? So it's not even more. It's also the water and the sunlight and the fertilizer and all the stuff that needs to be there, the irrigation system. Without peptides, you're just planting stuff on a slab of concrete and hoping that it works. If you look at peptides as something to create the most, like to wring the most health out of your system, they're the single highest ROI that you can use. Because they amplify fundamentals, right? Go back to the basics. Training, you recover twice as fast. Dieting, you burn fat without torching all your muscle without destroying your muscle. Injury, you heal in weeks, not months. And aging, you have the cellular signals that get restored because they're muted and quiet, or the cells are senescent, right? Inflammation goes down, repair goes up. This is why. So drugs might give you, pharmaceuticals, for example, might give you maybe a 10% edge, but take 50% off your lifespan. Peptides give you 200% edge with no penalty. None. That's why the ROI isn't 1-to-1. It's exponential. You don't just get better at one thing. You get better at all the things that your body does, that your body biologically is trying to do. Yes, they work that well. Your body, and listen, they work so damn well because your body can't tell the difference between its own peptide and one that's been injected, and drugs can't play that game at all. Your receptors don't see a foreign invader. They see a normal signal that just shows up, and they're like, oh, I know who this is. They're supposed to come in the door. Let them in, open the door, right? Which is why side effects are minimal, and stacking is what I said before, synergistic. And the results are clean. You don't have these weird results that come married to a myriad of problems, right? You're not fighting biology is the way I always explain it. You're actually amplifying it. So here's the absurd part, by the way. You guys are still going to get in my comments. I'm just going to block you, delete you, and forget about you, because you're going to say peptides are inauthentic. They're not authentic. I made a post about it yesterday. Try doing it all without peptides. Why? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That's like saying, you know what? Try climbing Everest in just your underwear and flip-flops. But why? When you can have oxygen and a tent and a Sherpa guide and all the shit that comes with, like, everything you need. It doesn't make sense to me, because you're not doing anything you're not cheating. What, you're cheating because you're making your body run the way it's designed? You know that peptides make your body run the way it did when you were like 7. And then again, when you were like 17, and just unstoppable, minus the attitude and piss and vinegar mindset that most people had when they were that age. So let me get this straight. So it's not authentic, as if being sick and weak and crippled and inflamed and limping around in your is somehow authentic. Meanwhile, you've got molecules. Listen to me. You got molecules that can restore your body's operating code. They can repair damage and keep you performing at levels that your grandparents could never dream of. And you call that cheating? That's not authenticity. That is stupidity wrapped up as virtue. It's the same crowd that brags about all natural while pounding alcohol and living on fucking seed oils and scrolling Instagram until 3 a.m. going, I'm doing research. Here's your sign. Listen, peptides are not some weird, screwed up fringe experiment that nobody knows about. They are the biological language that your fucking body already speaks. That's how aggravating this is. They don't hijack you. They restore everything you have, and they don't add a damn thing of toxicity. What they do is they take away the static and the signals and add a bunch of clarity. That's what they do. And they stack because your biology, big surprise, is all interconnected. Your finger connected to your heart, connected to your brain. Like, it's all connected. They work because receptors can't lie. It's not possible. And they outperform stem cells, and they embarrass the shit out of pharmaceuticals, and they multiply the ROI of every single effort that you are already making to be healthy. God, if that wasn't a mic drop moment right there, right? Like, when you understand them, please listen, you stop playing defense against injury and aging and disease and dysfunction and decline and issues and problems and even neurological problems and all of the stuff. You're not playing defense against it. You start playing offense and going, oh yeah, let's go. I learned a thing or two. That's how you operate. So you can choose to argue all you want. It doesn't make you a better person. It makes you a bigger idiot. But it sure as hell isn't cheating, you guys. It's not. It's the future of, in my opinion, being a healthy juggernaut of a human. You just got to be smart enough to look at it and go, damn right, that's what it is. Anyway, I hope this helps. I banged out all this, I think, in about an hour. It was like an entire course that probably would take a year for anybody else. Thanks for listening. I got to go. Never miss.